Okay. Hey. So now what's coming up in Oimen is the parallel that we just spoke about, invoking Abiyah HaKlolis, and just in broad brushstrokes. Again, Abiyah Atzilus B'Yitzira Asiyah HaKlolis in general is Atzilus is Oiren Sof, Bria is Adam Kadman, Yitzira is Keser, and Asiyah HaKlolis is Atzilus. So he was saying that the Neshama, the third level of identifying the nitzutz cotton beire, which is mislabish in the nitzutz cotton echad nivre. What is this nitzutz echad cotton beire mitachtius beire, but still beire, the created divine? So the end is this is the pnimius of Ak, which is atik. In other words, it's essential. It's an essential expression of godliness, in contrast to a manifested expression of godliness. I just want to point out, I mentioned yesterday, Levushim and Caleb, just the basic difference between the two. Because he was saying that the Caleb of Ak, Caleb of the Oil, that's one general category. It's the Levush of Ak that was about which it stated from there the Neshamas descend into the Guf. Now, the whole beer is to say that that's not the place of origin. Its place of origin is not only the Oiris and Caleb. We went first out the Levushim, then the Oiris / Caleb in one group, and then no Atik of Ak. So just in a word, the difference between Levushim and Caleb, it's the same thing, is it not? The answer is no, of course, because Levush, let's start with the Caleb. A keli is something, the inyan of oil and keli is something the person himself needs. He himself needs keli for his own oil hanefesh. On so many levels, to understand something, it has to be, the seichel has to be invested in the kelim, of chachma, bina, and das, the raw seichel. For him to understand it, the midas, likewise, have to be expressed, b'hakbola, in kelim, Av and Chesed. Without going to Holariches, we understand that the oil, which is relatively speaking, the pure energy needs to be invested in the Keli, just like Begashmius. The power of sight needs to be invested in the eye to see. That's the Keli, Begashmius. Or to say that the inyan of Kelim are integral for the functioning person himself. Oiris and Kelim. Person to be Miyushiv, a person to be settled, and a balanced person, it's Oiris B'Kelim, as opposed to someone who's like all over the place. Toihudik, and the Kelim are not grasping and giving definition and an orderly structure to the Oir HaNefesh, making him impetuous, etc. So Kelim are Hakabala, that's true, but they're integral to the functioning of the person, or the parallel, the Adam Elyon. Whereas Levushim altogether about engaging the outside. The person himself does not, in theory, need Levushim. It's cold, if it's hot, if he's meeting people, he needs Levushim. But he's still a person. When he divests himself from his physical garments, he's the same person. Likewise, the Levushim Ruchnim, speaking, acting, and even thinking, without going into thinking, Machshav is an unusual, very delicate kind of Levush, but it's still a Levush. And there's many levels to Machshav. It's all about engagement outside. Okay? So that's why he said he put Oiris and Kelim in one category, but still the self, the body of Alikus, as it were. But Levushim is Chitzonius, which is why we cannot say, that was the Omnam, we cannot say that the Nitzitz Beide cotton, it's not the Levush of Ak. That's already, as the Abish is engaging Bria on some level, the world outside. We're talking, it's in the Nitzitz cotton Beide, so it must be the Oiris and the /Kelim, the premius of, or Ak proper, I should say Ak proper. And then he says, Vayehi Yosef, he said, no, it's not even ak proper, classic ak, which is like rotzen. The parallel will be rotzen, the nefesh adam, the pnimius ak, which is tainug. That's where the neshama comes from. And that's what he says, included in Eitz Chaim, it says that just like there's atik of atzilus classically, likewise there's atik above ak. And that's the last level of atzilus haklolis, meaning the Oir itself. The last level as with the Oir itself, the last expression of it, whatever it means. It's also tzarich iyun. What does it mean? Level of Oir itself. At any rate, the last expression of the Oir itself is, which Oir itself in general is atzilus haklolis. What is it? Atik of ak. That's the madrege tachtoni shebebeira. That's the level of the pnim of neshamas Yisrael that's invested in the Yechida and the levels, subsequent levels below Yechida. Right? That's the third and final conclusion. Now, Vayehi Obira Inyan. Just somewhat clear, folks. We're not lost in space. Yeah, little feedback. Okay, good. The chart hopefully is helpful. Look at the chart for a second, just that last Abiyah Klolis. Can you get it up? As you go now to Abiyah Pratis, parallel. All right, so there it's perfect. So the Abiyah Klolis. This is the pnim. What's the pnim of the neshama? Kedem va'ochet sartani. He says in Tehillim, what's the pnimis of the neshama Yisrael? This is all to explain Hadasah and Esther. So the pnim is atzilus haklolis, which is generally Oir Ein Sof. Now, what's the lowest level that the Eitz Chaim is talking about? The ''tchk'' that is atik of ak, atik of bria klolis, the whole general creative process that begins with ak. That's the lowest darga of the Oir Ein Sof. Again, mechanics, technical level, the lowest darga of the Oir Ein Sof, as we're identifying it here, is what? Atik the ak. And that's the pnimius of the neshama. And the external levels of the neshama correspond to bria the klolis, and yitzira the klolis, and asiyah the klolis, etc. That's all. Okay. Yeah. Now we're going to talk, or you say, as it is in Ishtalshalis, classic Ishtalshalis. Let's go back to the text, and then we'll look at the chart. You say, so we say ponim here in the context of our discussion here, ponim versus ocher. We don't mean the pnimius of the manifested level of oil. Even the level of oil that's invested in the keli, there's also the inyan of pnimius. Oh, Alan, good morning. Gonna come and see you today. Oh, we got your new tzitzis. You're looking very handsome. Sporting your tzitzis. So the intent here is not to the pnimius oides, because all the levels of oid, even the level of oid that's mislabish and keli, is also there's the level of pnimius there. And since oil altogether, even before it's invested in the keli, could be that's not the true level of pnimius. So what is? Etzem. Etzem is the true pnimius. In a word, the fact that oil can be invested in kelim, so when we speak about the true pnimius, we don't mean the pnimius of in the dark of manifestation of gilui of oil. but rather again an in atzmi, which is what tainik is, atik is, which is why the end, the final, the Oimen Yoser, it was atik, because atik is not, it's atik is the expression of I am. I desire is I am, because that's me. And I want is already something external to one degree or another. A want is in order to get somewhere. A desire is the destination. So this is what Bira Inyan, this follows what we just said in the Ba'imik Yoser, and identifying the Nitzitz Beide cotton. And what is it? It's Atik, because Atik, part of Oirin Sof, is all part of the I am of the Eibush. Even though we call it Oirin Sof, but everything's relative, that's Atzmi, relative to the Oidas that follow post the Tzimtzum, etc. Friends, the operating word is relative. As we don't tire of saying, or we don't tire of saying, this is not a cop-out. That's the Davis is the substance. Got frustrated, started to learn Chassidus. You have a question here, it says there, like this, here, there it says this dark is like that, and the Mashpia would say it's all it's all relative. Sounds like a cop-out. Depends on which context. It's an easy way to dismiss any question. It's not. It's because, as we're pointing out, it's one Eibishter, friends, and it's essentially one revelation that is binary. It's true. By God's choice, it's binary. There's his halkus, there's higher and lower, gvul and bleak, gvul and kelit, endless manifestations of that. But in all of this binary system, it's all integrated. So all the levels are present within the other levels, which is why there's a biyah klolis and a biyah protis. And one is reflective of the other. Right? We got that clear, I think. So let's continue. Continuing now in identifying that Pnim is in Atzmi. And we're not talking about Oid per se, revelation, manifestation, projection, Ispashtus. Not talking Etzim, relatively speaking. It's explained elsewhere. Look at the Torah. Okay, Tavshin. The Inyan Iyo v'Chaya, the Zohar says that he v'Chaya in his life force is one Chad v'Iyo, and Iyo v'Gam Mayil Chad. He and his causations are one. So there he says in the Torah as follows: Shebchinas Bina Ulamata. Where is Garmoyo? Where is the true Inyan of Kedim of Garmoyo? It's not Atzilus. Relatively speaking, Atzilus is Inyan Atzmi. And the Inyan of Kedim, of Akbala, really starts with Bina. Now, I said, he's going to say in a moment, that Atzilus is dominated by Chachma. So it's all relative. Let's say the words and then we'll offer explanation. When this, just talking about Chachma and Bina, where does Keli begins Bina? Because what's Chachma? Chachma is not the Seichel contained in the Keli. Chachma is the pure idea. Is the pure idea that the person senses and is not in any way contained. It's called sight. And because seeing is you're not containing something that you see. When you hear about something, the way you are absorbing it is in Kalim. It's in the way you understand, the way you interpret language. It's a tremendous listening to something involves whatever you're getting invested in Kalim, words, and you putting it all together, creating the idea in your head. But when you see something, the truth of what is seeing. Keli is not quantifying it. Yes.
Chachma has it higher than Keli too.
Relatively speaking, no. No. It's a Oy which is higher than Keli, period. No. No, it's not a Keli, it's not contained. If someone's going to ask you at that moment of see, few of us have experienced this, eureka moment. But if they would interrupt you when this happened, you couldn't say a word. And not only that, to be upset because you're going to lose it. You're going to hang on to it and you never get words from it. An elusive moment.
Okay, that's
There's no kelim, there's no oisius. No oisius for it, no kelim for it, no construct.
The Dovership is safe when you think
Huh?
that's the idea or the concept. But
At the level of
Chokhmah
Chokhmah, that
itself.
concept does not have.
Saying Chokhmah is a seer, that the Kayach, the Nefesh,
That sees the objective truth without me quantifying and qualifying, without compromising it in any kind of keli. The truth of what is, not putting it into any box of any kind. The emes. It's all the famous Haggadah of the Rebbe Perek Lamed Hey. That Chacham is the keli for the emes of Eidin Tzaf Shehu Levadayu. We're not boxing God in any kind of definition. Truth, His truth, complete bittul. Now, in order to connect to that, it's complete bittul. Otherwise, you compromise. So when does Kalim begin? The whole world of Kalim, again, alt is relative. Alt is relative. Relatively speaking, classically speaking, see, as he puts in the brackets in Mavur Kant, so in the context we're speaking here. It's a bina lamata that's all got a moihu. Haino shagama oides. So we're talking about revelation. Afilu pnimis oides. So since pnimis oides can be where invested in Kalim, it's all part of that world of Kalim. B'chinas got a moihu. Kivishim mislabshim b'Kalim. And the union of Keli really only starts where? In Bina and Lamata, which is really a Bria. So why is Atzilus difficult upon him? Because it's higher than classic oil, which is drawn into a Keli. Again, what's Atzilus, totally speaking? Atzmi. It's not Bina. What rests in Atzilus, the supernal Abba? That's Chachma. And what does that mean? What dominates Atzilus is the truth of Elikus not being in any way defined. And Chachma is Chayoy, that's Chayoy, not Garmoy. Here Chayoy means higher than Slapshus and Kalim. As he goes on to say, the Malim Slapshus B'Kalim. So relatively speaking, Atzilus is the Pnim of Olikus, reflective Atzilus Aklolus. And why? Why? The answer hit the nail on the head. We're talking Ishtalshalis Gewalt. How are we suggesting that Atzilus Aprotis is anyway a reflection of Atzilus Aklolus, which is Eidin Sof, and the lowest level is Atik, which is in Atzmi. The answer is because what dominates Atzilus is what? Chochma. Look at the chart now. Ishtalshalis of Abiyad de Protis, the classic. Dalad Oilemes, relatively speaking, Atzilus is the expression still, relatively speaking, of the Pnim of Elikus. Atzilus, why? Because Iker is Chachma. And as he goes on to say, all 10 Tzvidas, including Malchus, that's Hadasah, including Malchus, as she stands in Atzilus, it's all Pnimis on the Shomba. Because what dominates Atzilus is Chachma, which is complete bittul. As for the question, but there are another 9 Tzvidas there. That's not Kalim. And you were asking, is not Chachma also Kalim? Chachma is a word. It means that it defines it. It's a definition of some kind. But relatively speaking, no. It's not Kalim. Why? Because what is the Hedgish? This is the term used in Atzilus. What's the sense of Atzilus is? It's simply this. This is the Eibishter's choice to reveal himself this way, that way, the other way. The way itself is inconsequential. What dominates there is this is the Eibishter revealing himself. And that's the sense of Chacham of Atzilus and Bin of Atzilus, all the way to, including Malchus. This is the Eibishter's word. The Eibishter's word. Bri is already what that word produces. Malchus being word. It's like there's trying to find express this in emotional level. You're listening to Fabrengen. So the Rebbe speaks. He's saying Oisius and Asbodus and Esbedim, which you have to listen to intellectually and internalize and understand. But the fundamental experience is not that. It is a likus ret, period. And that is related to little, which is not an avodah. You don't have an avodah. Stand there in that sense of awe. This is something beyond. This is a mufla. Or any emotion that's expressed. There's the emotion, but that's the ikir hergish is, it's not the emotion. It's that the course is in such a matter. Let's continue. And that's why they were talking. I'm just thinking there's the Chassidim, notably David Raska, there are many in the hundreds, in these thousands. I'm just thinking of the Chassidim like David, Rabbi Mentlik, and many others. And on one hand, it was strange because no matter what was going by the Fabrengen, they were the same. In Big Simcha, you looked at them, it was virtually, they didn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Respond. They didn't respond to the changing mood of the Fabrengen. There were changing moods, of somber moments, Freilichen moments, and profound intellectual Giluyim and the humorous moments. There were all these.
Okay, you do the Maisa with Rabbi Mentlik, if I'm not mistaken, it was with him that the Rebbe gave him to say a lot of l'chaim, told him to say a lot of l'chaim, and he was standing there, like you say, chachma, just totally bottled on everything. After Rebbe left, like he collapsed or whatever. I don't remember the details of the story. Bottom line is, while there was a Gilui, he was just frozen, not even after a lot of mashke.
Yeah, I think it was Purim.
Whatever.
And I'm saying, if you look at these fellas, it looks like a little bit they're unmoved. Hello, get excited. The answer is no, Adarab. It's as much as very deep bittul. I didn't laugh at the jokes. Sometimes there were humorous things. There was a sense of humor, by the way. It was like everything. Very, whatever, I'm not going to describe it. But, Dr. Rosen, yeah, said, related, went to the Kinnis. We used to have a lot of banter with the Rebbe, but the Rebbe had a very keen sense of humor, very funny. So I'm saying, sometimes by Fabrengen, they will express that, and sitting like this, you hear the laughter in the early years, you hear the people laughing. And even from the women's section, you can hear the laughing, sometimes that was humor. Which is nice that they were listening and understood. But not these guys. That is Atzilus. That's a moshel of Atzilus. There are the emotions, there is the Seichel, there's the Avon of Asogen, there's Ava and Yira and everything else, but what? The complete state of Bittul. Why? Because Abi Ilah Chachma Mekanan of Atzilus. Now, continue. If Chachma, the Chachma begins Chayohi, Chachma is the true Chayohi. This here, we don't mean Oid, not the kind of Oid that's Plabash and Keli, meaning in Atzim, relatively speaking. The Mailim is the Abshas of Keli, as we explained. So just like with we just said now that that's the Rabbi, classic Rabbi, Nikra, Rakatzilis, B'Shem Ponim. Only Atzilus is called Ponim because Atzilus is suffused completely, nothing other than the expression of a likus, and hence we say that it's Chochma that resides, sits in Atzilus. So Kain ben Gil Abiyah Klolium Likewise, in the bigger picture, Rak Atzilus the Klolos Bechinas Pnim. Only Atzilus the Klolos, which is Ak. Which is Atik the Ak. Only that level can be relatively speaking called Pnim. Again, the Inyan Atzmi, as we explained, the Dafkin Tainug is the Etzem expressed. Or Dafke Tainug's expression of the Etzem. Now, the key which is saying is Ak Nikra Adam the Bri. Look at the chart. Second column under Abiyad the Klolos. This is already moving away from the I am to the I express. This is the Ocha, the Hindu part of Abiyad the Klolos, and it's Bri the Klolos. And what is it? Ak. Yeah? Everything we're saying now, we're not lost. This is...
Here it's Ak Bechlam, as opposed to...
No. This is Ak.
Because we're saying Atik.
No. Yeah, it's Ak Bechlal. Yeah.
So, Tzilus to Klolos is Atik of Ak. What we're describing, and this
No,
is...
I'm sorry. No. This is the level of Ak. What is Ak? That is the level of Adam Kadmon. This is Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon is the first darge post Tzimtzum. After the Ein Sof. Then comes classically Keser, and then comes Atzilus. This is Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon corresponds to Bria the Klolos. Clear? Yes, is that clear to everybody? But that's already where with the shift from the Inyan, from Etzem to Spashtus, from I am to I want. Yeah? Let's continue. So Kiv and Shechit saying, yes, Ak Nikra Adam the Bria the Klolos. So Chitzon Yisak is Adam the Bria Aklolos. Ein Zah Mittes in the Beginner's Ponim. So this is Obira Inyan. This is explaining the Ba'imik Yosef of the previous paragraph. That classic Adam Kadmon is cannot be the Nitzitz Cotton Boire, which is Mislabish, and the Nitzitz Cotton Niven. The Pnim, Mislabish, and the Chitzonius. The Amitis Inyan Aponi Beginner's Atzilus the Klolos. So what is the true Ponim? Again, Etzem here in our purposes. Is Atzilus the Klolos, which is Ein Tzal Bachlau. What's the last level? It includes all of it. The Bechinas Acharin Atzilus HaKlolos. And what is that? Pnimius Ak, which is, in brackets, Atik Shela Elim Migul Galta Da'ak. Atik, which is high as it were than the skull of Adam Kadmon. Again, as we explained all this in the previous year. This is Atik. Shenasis Atik L'Odam de Bria de Klolos. As you see on the chart in front of you. And this is a level that's higher than the Kelim of Ak, as you can see in the chart. So this is Aliyah Mitis Minapon. So it's only Atik the Klolos, or Atzilus the Klolos, which is Atik the Bria the Klolos. That is the true level upon him. That's what the Eitzchaim is referring to. In our third, peeling back the layer of the Pshat and the Eitzchaim. Now applying it to Atzilus HaProtis. The point he just said now is, this is important to remember, get the mechanics of it. Even though Tzarech Ian, what does it mean? Dargis and Ein Sof, putting that aside now. But the lowest, you tell me, hit the nail on the head here. What's the lowest darg of the Ein Sof, which is the Nitzitz Cotton Shebe, the loss of the Yitzchayim, what is it? What is this darg of Nitzitz Cotton Shebe Madrege Tachtoni Shebe Beire? In Atzilus the Klolos, what is it? In the big, broad picture.
Atzilus the Klolos, we're saying it's Atik of Pnimius of Ak.
It's Atik.
Which is Pnimius of Ak.
It's Pnimius of Ak, Atik the Bria. Now, even though, it's just the mechanics here. On the one hand, it's the lowest level of what? Of Ein Sof. But overall, it's in the gather of I am, not I want. It's in Atzmi and not his pashtus, as we explained previously. The nature of time. Likewise, the parallel. Since we just finished saying that Atzilus boy from Klal is dominated by what? By Atzilus Beprotis is dominated by what? Bittul, as we explained, by giving the Moshel of Fabrengen. This embraces every darga, including what? Malchus of Atzilus. Hence, Malchus of Atzilus, which is Hadasah, that's Pnimis Hanasham. That's the conclusion of the whole discussion here. Is it clear? It's the mechanics of it. Hopefully we gave us better, including the Oisir. Then moving on the protos, just like again, Atik, the Bria de Klolos. Is the lowest dark of the Eid itself, that's still part of Pnim. So likewise, the same is true of Malchus. Atzilus HaProtos. She comes to Malchus, but Yosef Atzilus, as long as Malchus stands in Atzilus, the word as Dibur is in Atzilus. Again, the Trebere, Gemara. What? So Bchinas Pnim, that's all the Darga Pnim. Further elaboration. Why is it all? Why is Atzilus still called Pnim, notwithstanding the Esesvidus and tremendous seer and definition? Why? Because what dominates it all is Chachma. This is the way the Eibush has decided to express himself. So they're all legitimately and equally nothing other than him. Another word for this, friends, is Yichud Yilah. This is what Yichud Yilah means. As a people the Metzius, as opposed to Yichud Tata. Just throwing that in, I hope you understood the association. Yichud Yilah means we're talking about a Yichud, there is Svirus, this definition is Tir. Yichud Yilah, it's not something else, it's the choice of the able to express himself this way, so it's all him equal.
From Hashem's perspective.
From his perspective, das Elyon versus das Tach. Given every expression of Atzilus is nothing other than what? Hashem's decision, that's what's meant by Chochmah dominating all of Atzilus, Abilah. Including the final expression Malchus, which is the divine word. Therefore, Malchus, this is the level of Hadasah. Hadasah, he Esther. Hadasah is what is that? Level of Malchus, Hadasah, with the hates feminine connected to Hadas. The three Oisies corresponding to the primary midas of Atzilus, all suffused with Chochmat Atzilus. That's what he's bringing to bear here. Now comes, okay, we'll stop here. The Oid says, Hadasah he Esther is the Chiddush. Not only is Malchus, that's the Mokkah, this is the Mokkah of Neshamas Yisrael. This is the Pnim, this is the Nitzutz Echad, this Boyer Cotton, in the small picture, reflected of the bigger picture of Abiyad the Klolos. Invested in every year. The Chiddush is Hadasah he Esther, that even as the Neshama descends Lamata in Hell and Vehester and in Biyah and the Lamaviyeshus and Das Tachten and Yechud Tata. At best, the Neshama doesn't lose its atzmisdika property. It's a tremendous Chiddush. The Neshama doesn't lose its atzmisdika nekuda. Okay, to be continued based on Hashem tomorrow.